Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new elite family of woods and irons from Callaway.
With the practice round coming into today, I thought I would have had to play a little bit more conservative coming into these pin locations, but after a few holes, you could see that they were a little bit more receptive, even though they are firmer than the other two courses. It's nice to be able to get on, the stadium and play well. I enjoyed my time with JT over the last 3 days, so looking forward to tomorrow. Just trying to get myself into contention. Come last 9 holes, that would be nice. Kind of Sepp's running away with it over at La Quinta right now, so just got to stay within arm's length of him.
What kind of number are we seeing out there for possibly tomorrow?
On the stadium? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, when Sunday comes around, typically there's tougher pin locations. There's going to be a mix of both. There's going to be some gettable pin locations and tougher pin locations, but everyone's going to tighten up, over the final stretch. Usually on Sundays, scores tighten up and they're not as good as what you'd see at the start of the week, just because everyone's more relaxed at the start of the week. So I don't know, if I put on another one like I did today, then I'm hoping that's enough. But obviously, I just got to trying to control what I can control and go from there. I was very pleased with how the last 3 days were. So if I can just stay within myself and just keep playing, try and get in the backside and see how it goes.
Solid start at the Century a couple weeks ago, and in the fall was trending this direction. What have you been working on in your game, or where are you seeing it the strongest right now?
There's been a dramatic improvement in the technical aspect on the swing. Just feels like the club's a little bit more square coming through the shot, and that's a little bit more controllable, which is nice. The swing's improved, which is good, and one thing that held me back last year was approach play into the greens. Putting's been solid, pretty much every year, and driving's been pretty solid too. Same with short game. So that was like kind of the missing piece for me. Been a good start. Don't really think about it too much. Just get into it tomorrow and go from there.
Let's a few more from Judd.
Thanks, Jason. Stadium course this year, playing close to two strokes higher on average than we saw last year.
Yeah.
By virtue of the changes you're around today, did you feel like the course had a little more teeth?
It did. Anytime, I find it funny. It feels I've been out here for a while now, and I feel like as time's gone on that the conditions of the golf courses, especially the greens, have gotten softer and a little bit slower over time. But I'm not sure if that could be just me thinking like, back in my day we played it firmer, you know what I mean? But I feel like when I first came out, the greens were a lot firmer back in the day, and that was like really the defense of most golf courses, especially with a golf course like this where it's not overly long, but you start to add some good firm greens into the mix. Some of these lines start to get a little bit tight coming to these greens, and you get a little, you're trying to worry about where to land things, like 17, for instance. You land that too far beyond the pin, that's hopping over into the water. So, I think we have another good day with the way that the greens are tomorrow. I think it should set up for a good finish.
Yeah, we saw with your playing competitor today, Justin had a great bogey save on 17, and then
he's done that a couple of times, man. He hit one out of bounds and made a bogey on the second hole at Nicholas, and then he did that again. So it's like practically a birdie on his next shot, which is amazing to see. But he's playing some great golf. Obviously, he had a great start in Century. It's good.
Yeah, I know I've asked you this like every year. I think since you played out here, your time at the Vintage Club.
Yes.
Something that you continue, that you've had for a long time. Are you like an official desert guy at this point?
I am.
You've been out there for a while?
I really am. I've been coming out here a long time, and it's hard not to love this place. You know what I mean? Like, you try and find things where you're like, I don't really want to come out here, but I actually really look forward to coming out to the desert every single winter, right before the West Coast swing starts. This is, my spot to come, just because the golf courses are fantastic. The weather's obviously perfect, and then it's just easy to get to the, other golf tournaments from here. But it's nice and quiet here. I like that. I'm here to focus on golf, and I get to do that out here.
I'll ask you lastly, man. You guys had a great gallery today.
Yeah.
What I saw out there, finishing 3 holes, 16, 17, 18. That's probably the biggest crowd I've ever seen on Alcatraz, I think.
Oh,
I don't know
nice.
if you kind of felt that in what I think is your 4th year here, but
Yeah. I'm trying to keep my head down, especially when it comes to 17, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to look at anything else other than my tee box and the green. And it's very easy to see that water, so I just try and keep my head down. But like, it seemed like the crowds were here. Obviously, there's going to be a nice concert tonight, so I think everyone's excited to watch not only golf but also the concert as well. So they do. Amex does a great job here with this tournament, and it's always a pleasure to come and play.
How would you kind of just compare, the difficulty at the stadium compared to the other 2 courses?
Yeah. The other 2 golf courses, you have a lot of wedges in. You're attacking. The greens are a little more receptive and perfect like the stadium golf course. But you've got to hit quality golf shots into the stadium course. And I was able to do that. I just wasn't able to convert on the birdie putts today like I did the first 2 rounds. But felt like I hit some good putts. But it's a golf course. When you get in position, you can make some birdies. But when you get out of position, you're sort of holding on a little bit. And I was able to, the balls that were out of position, I was able to get in the center of the green, gave myself chances. And I tacked on the ones that I was in the fairway. But you know what? A clean card, 69 around this place. If you told me that last night, I'd probably taken it.
I think the scoring average on the stadium is about 2 shots harder than it has been on the stadium in previous years, just after the reno. Do you feel like that's all firmness on the greens, or do you feel like there's other parts that have kind of contributed to that? Yeah,
Definitely firmness. I think the biggest change is 16, the left-hand side. Obviously, we've seen some catastrophes there, ball rolling off. But the rest of them are a little bit bigger, with a little bit more roll-offs and a little more undulations on the greens. But for me, there's little slopes in there that were never there before that I was having a hard time seeing and reading. But through time, and the greens will settle, and you'll start getting good reads. But the firmness definitely affects the shots coming in.
First time we get the ShotLink stats for you this week on this course, showed approach play was strong. Has that kind of been a key throughout the week, that has kind of been dialed in?
Correct. The strokes gained, if they had the other 2 golf courses, I was hitting it pretty close the last few days. And today was a little bit more of the same, just that putts happened not to drop, but gave myself good opportunities. Getting a little more healthy. I would say the middle of last year, I started feeling really healthy, and I was able to start practicing a lot. And you can't compete against these guys without practicing and honing your game. I mean, there was a few years there where I was just trying to get starch under my belt because I couldn't practice, and you just can't compete. And now I'm able to practice, put the time in, and I'm seeing the benefits.
Where do you see that specifically in your game as the practice goes?
I think the iron playing drivers, for me, that's always been my strength on tour. If I drive it and iron play it, I always have more opportunities. I've always been, I would say, average putter. If the putter gets warm, I usually contend, and it's starting to heat up this week.
With the course renovations, mainly the greens, were there any adjustments that you knew you had to make early in the week coming into this tournament around today?
Yeah, new greens. Obviously, they're going to be a little firmer. That's the case anytime they redo greens. And it's a little different for this event. Usually, the greens are a little on the softer side. But with it firm like this, you really have to pick a good number and hit your spots coming into the greens.
Obviously, early in the season, opening swing on the West Coast, going into the final round tomorrow in contention. What's been your game plan this week, and are there any adjustments that you're going to make tomorrow, knowing that you have an opportunity to put a good round together and win the golf tournament?
No adjustments at all. I got off to a little slow start, my front 9 at La Quinta, which is a sin this week. You got to torch La Quinta. But I played really well since then, and so I'll keep that momentum hopefully into tomorrow.